Watch the tape Wednesday. DeAndre Moore Jr., Christen Miller, and Le'Veon Moss. Talented prospects with a wild range of outcomes. We'll talk about their draft perspective next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast. Cover your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parsons. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our every Dayers. We have a new show that we're debuting right now. It's Watch the Tape Wednesday, guys. We take 3 players, and as we get throughout the season, just to kind of give some explanation, as we get throughout the season, we'll pick 3 players from the previous weekend of college football and break down their tape for what they did, whether it was good, bad, indifferent, whatever. So we're going to talk about Texas wide receiver DeAndre Moore Jr., Christen Miller, maybe the next star defensive lineman out of Georgia, and then Le'Veon Moss coming off of an injury, the star running back for Texas A&M. But before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. DeAndre Moore, Keith, 6 foot, 195 pounds. Was kind of a they mixed him into the lineup a lot last year. It's like some games he started, some games he was on, he rotated in and he was coming off the bench. But I think this year is a big year for him because Matthew Golden's gone.
Isaiah Bond
is gone. Helm's gone. They brought in Jack Andrews at tight end. So it's him. It should be DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo as the top 2 wide receivers on this team for Arch Manning to get the ball to. When you popped on the tape, Keith, do we have let me ask you this first. Do we have another potential first round Texas wide receiver? Because they went Xavier Worthy and Malik and not Malik, but Matthew Golden. I think is it back-to-back drafts?
Yeah, back-to-back drafts, and I think back-to-back drafts having fastest guy in the 40-yard dash.
40-yard dash.
Right, both coming from this wide receiver core. When I see DeAndre Moore, DP, all I thought of was potential and upside, right? Everything that this guy can do overall. And you're talking about the explosiveness, you're talking about how they utilized him, right? He was a kind of a movement piece, but he's not your ideal movement piece, meaning he's not that 5'9", 175-pound gadget guy. This guy has a thick, sturdy lower half, and he's explosive straight line guy, right? If you get him in the open field, he's explosive. He has a lot of explosiveness to him. I think the potential is through the roof for what he can be, just as a prospect. And I'm excited. Like, he's a guy that once you watch him and you really get into the tape, you say, you know what? I got to pay attention to him. Right. I'm excited to see what he can do. What I hope is that they do give him more and more opportunities because his skill set and what he showed last year. And I think for the listeners, usage rate, I want to say he had 39 catches and somewhere around 400 to 500 yards. It wasn't a whole lot, right?
56.
Yeah. So if you can elevate that target share and elevate his usage, like you said, he rotated some last year because they had so many weapons. I think this is a guy that can push. You're talking about first, second round, but then also the way this wide receiver class is shaping out, we talked about how there's so many wide receivers, but he has a skill set that it looks as though he can continue to elevate himself, right? And he's a young man. Like Matthew Golden, I think just consistently did this, right? He consistently went up the entire season and then draft process. I think he can do that too because once we get into draft season, he's going to test well. He looks like another 4.4, maybe even lower type of wide receiver.
100%. And that's why I really liked about him was like you talk about that compact, dense build, but then seeing the speed vertically, and I'm like, okay, like now having a quarterback like Arch who has the arm talent to then push the ball down the field, give you those one-on-ones. And they use them, like you said, use them a lot in a variety of ways. The gadget touches, the manufacturer stuff, the wide receiver screen, stuff like that. But also they put him not just at the X or the Z, they put him in the slot. And they would run slot fades with him. And his ball tracking was there. hand-eye coordination. And I just looked at him as a guy. I do think that because I mean, again, super talented. Texas knows how to. Steve Sarkisian knows how to recruit, right? Because not only we talked about Matthew Golden and Xavier Worthy as first rounders, right? Gunnar Helm was a fourth round tight end to the Titans, and he's looked good throughout the preseason when they give him his reps. But then you can think about Adonai Mitchell, who, if he could transition what he's been doing in practice to the NFL field, like he could be he has a skill set to be a top 10 wide receiver in the league because of the size and speed and route running. He has all the physical ability. Now, can you play to that in the regular season or just in the season period, like on the football field? The stuff he does in practice doesn't always translate to once the bright lights turn on. If he can figure that out, he could be a top 10 receiver and the best receiver on the Colts roster. So like they know how to find receivers. And this was a young man who I believe he originally committed to Louisville and flipped when Steve Sarkisian in Texas came calling. So it's like, man, he could have been over there at Louisville, and be honest, no one probably would have known about him that much because Louisville doesn't get a lot of publicity. And now you at Texas, you in the SEC, I'm excited to see him as a full-time starter because now I think that the question mark she's going to have to answer is, all right, what does it look like as a full-time starter? Can I be consistent? Can I contribute consistently? And he's got to clean up some of the drops. He had like 11, like his drop percentage was like 11.4 or whatever, like 5 or 6 drops. And when you hear 5 drops, you're like, oh, that's not that bad. And it's like, well, he only had 39 catches in the season. Like, what I mean? He had less than 70 targets. You got to bring in what you get. So I definitely think this is a potential. And like I said, crazy enough, Keith, they have a type, speed. They have a type. I mean, Steve Sarkisian is a Bama disciple, and Bama always had speed at receiver.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, DP, what DeAndre Moore was left of him, right? Like what's left for him to show is the little detailed nuances. And it's the things that would Matthew Golden got me to buy in early. And it was the route tempos, right? It was being able to track the ball. Like some of those things we don't completely know yet, just because we're talking about target share and being put in those positions. I think Texas didn't give him a lot of opportunities, but also didn't give him enough situational things, right? Like tracking the ball back, shoulder, and things like that to be able to see him in every situation to be like, you know what, I feel confident that he can be a wide receiver 1 for me, right? And we know that the separation between being a wide receiver 1 and being a wide receiver 2 and 3 that tests well, like there's a clear separation between the two, right? And it's usually the detailed nuances within playing a wide receiver, and something so huge is the instincts for playing the position, right? Nice. That's the Justin Jeffersons where nobody thinks that he runs a 4.40, but the guy seems to always be open, right? That's the little details of the game that we like that he has to kind of flush out for me to be like, you know what, I'm all in outside of just the physical profile plus the athleticism.
Absolutely. I think, Wingo is true sophomore. It's like 6'3", 200 plus pounds. Probably going to be another 4'3", 40 guy. Just legit athlete. You got Jack Andrews at tight end. CJ Baxter's coming back. Quintravion Wisner at running back. So you got your 2-headed monster and rotation at back. And with Arch Manning, the reason why I think DeAndre Moore could end up being now, because I did some videos for BR. And I talked about, I ranked my top wide receiver quarterback duos college football. I think Wingo and Arch could be right up there because of how well what they do, what their strengths are, how well they mesh. DeAndre Moore is the one that could throw a wrench in that plan because he's the guy I think is the easiest to get the ball to because of how you can utilize him and how the short game. Like he's a really good slant runner and things like that. Like he's good against zone and finding those soft spots and spaces. And just his understanding of leverage. Like I saw even just limited reps. I'm like, okay, so this guy knows how to win, get cross face, get to his spot, beat that defender on the slant, and then use his body to kind of box him out. No, he's not 6'4", 220. He's 6 foot, 195, 200 pounds, but he still boxes guys out on those in-breaking routes really well. And then he's hard to tackle. That build comes in handy when you're trying to bring him to the ground. He fights for extra yards after the catch and after contact. and he gets through arm tackles. So I think he might be a guy that ends. I wouldn't be surprised if he leads the team in receptions, but the biggest plays come from Wingo because of his size, speed, and athleticism.
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. Let's keep this thing going. And we're going from the wide receiver position to the trenches with Georgia defensive tackle. You talked about it at the top of the show in the intro. Could he be the next great one, the next Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter out of Georgia? We're going to talk about Christen Miller coming up next.
This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. With the season kicking off on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. You want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until only one team is left standing. You want to instantly play with your friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Or if you're into the classics, get your crew together and go head-to-head in private leagues. But if you don't have a crew, it's no problem. Join the public league, the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so do not wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. 6'4", 310-pound Christen Miller out of Georgia. And this is a guy that people are excited for, Keith. He's strong. He's physical. The run game, I think what we talked about with Michael, it's like, man, like he's got a high ceiling if he can hit all of his developmental arcs. But the floor was safe. The floor was good because he's going to defend the run and he's going to do it well. Well, that's the same thing for Christen Miller. He is he has a nice get off explosiveness off the ball versus the run. I love the strength and anchor at the point of attack. And he's a guy that linebackers, we talk about CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson and those linebackers for Georgia. A guy like Christen Miller is going to eat up space and allow those guys to move freely. He's going to eat up blocks as well. So he's going to eat up space, eat up blocks. I think there's a lot of upside to him. Again, I think he's got long arms. When I watch him on tape, this dude plays so much power. Like the jolts and the way you see, like offensive lineman's head kind of snap back when his punches land, and when he like two hand punches him to set that hard interior, and to watch guys just kind of work back, and he is able to push guys back. The question I have for him is, because I also want to give him credit, he's also going to be a guy that, like, laterally, I think he's a good athlete. So you think about the zone run game transitioning to the NFL, where it's a lot of that West Coast wide zone stuff. Can you move laterally, keep your shoulder square, attack that blocker, prevent that reach block from cutting you off, things like that? He does those things well also. So he's not just a big, strong guy at 6'4", 310. He's got nimble enough feet to be able to make the plays needed to in that game. In that way, I need to see him go to the next level as a pass rusher. Last year, he counted for 17 total pressures, only one QB hit, one sack. And he started most games that he played, only like 2 games he didn't start in. But I want to see him become more of a pass rusher this year. Because when you invoke the name Jalen Carter was a guy that no matter what happened, if it's 3rd and 10, you better double me. Ask Pat Mahomes. Like, you know what I mean? Ask every quarterback he's faced in the NFL. If you don't double him, he's going to wreck the game plan for you. Christen Miller, I want to see you take that next step as a pass rusher. Show me some more finesse, some more quick wins, and have a counter to the power. Because you're going to go up against some guards that are immovable objects, then can you work around them?
Yeah, so I guess, first of all, I agree with your whole synopsis on Christen Miller. And when I watched him, he was another guy that I was like, okay, I'm excited to see what he can do, right? Especially a trench player. I asked myself, if he doesn't improve the pass rush, if it stays somewhere around here, how do I project him? And I think I project him as probably a defensive end in a 3-4 scheme. Probably that 4-eye type of guy, right? Like just heavy-handed. And I think about some of the players that came out recently out of the draft. First of all, you think about a Rook Aurora, you think about a Justin Boydby, you think about Byron Young, not the Byron Young from Tennessee, that's the edge rusher for the Rams, but the Byron Young from Bama.
Yeah.
Is he with Tennessee? I mean, the Rams too. He might
He
be.
might
I want to say he got drafted to Los Angeles. I may be wrong. But just one of those, like you said, 6'4", 300+ pound guys that especially coming.
Philly, he's with the Eagles.
He's with the Eagles. Okay. Especially why are we not surprised, right? Especially coming out of in the guys that we just named, right? The Bama players and things like that. That's their system, right? Like the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, that's their system. Have these guys that if you can't do anything else, you're gonna learn how to play a double team, right? Like you're gonna learn how to lock, peek, and shed as far as your technique. So I look at him and I say, even with the baseline, I probably put him somewhere. If he doesn't improve and he stays this mode of himself, I think 3rd round is a good floor for him. Because what he does is it has a lot of value depending on what the team is, right? And you're talking about the Steelers, the Ravens, some of those tough, gritty teams. They're going to see a lot of value in what he does.
I mean, I think it's sticking with the AFC North. You think about the Cincinnati Bengals needing to consistently improve that interior.
Yeah, they need everybody. DP.
They need everybody.
They need not turn anybody down.
They just need to keep drafting defense at this point. Offensively, you are fine. Long as the O-line is, once you get that O-line solidified, you're good on offense. I don't think you need to draft anybody else for just another year or two. But that defense needs work. And I think for him, especially knowing that Cleveland's going to run the ball, right? No matter who they got at quarterback, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shador, they're going to run the football. Kevin Stefanski's offense always runs the ball. You know what you're getting from Baltimore with Lamar and Derrick Henry, and you got Keaton Mitchell back as the explosive speed guy. They're going to run the ball. And then also the Steelers, right? Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. They're going to run the football. Like this division does that. So you think about Cincy and say, you know what? Let me go ahead and add a guy like him, like a Christen Miller, to play in it. Like you said, that 4-eye. If they have a nose that can play that 0 to 1 tech, you can widen him out to that. In terms of like the lowest gap, I said maybe 3 tech, like 3 to 4-eye, and let him be that run defender. And maybe you get some of that upside. And he flashes because he does, like that Texas game. He did have some quick wins where I'm like, okay, like. All right, because it's all about like it's not going to look the same as like a Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker was so flexible, so athletic, and everything else. Like I liked some of the hand stuff I saw from Christen Miller. Like now, can you make that consistent? Because if you can give me from a defensive tackle spot, if I can get 6 sacks out of you a year, like stamped it, like I know I'm getting 6 sacks, 20+ pressures a year. I'm good with that, especially when I know you're going to be this level of run defender that Christen Miller is. So I Keith, you tell me. So you said the floor will probably be 3rd round. Do you think what does he need to do, like this season? Whether it's statistically, what does he need to do to get in that 1st round? Because at Georgia, the lineage like Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, Jalen Carter. Right. Like that, there's a lineage of defensive linemen coming out of Georgia that's talented that gets that 1st round stamp.
Yeah, he has to have an intriguing trait, right? And because when I talk about Nolan Smith, and I feel right in his evaluation, I had concerns about him because I just didn't see him put it all together as a pass rusher, right? And I loved what he did in the run game and high collision guy, great character. But his intriguing trait was athleticism, right? Jordan Davis, we had concerns about ability to stay on the field. Like, sometimes plays too high. He's athletic, but is he as physically dominant? But he gets into the combine, he's 330 pounds and runs a 4.7, right? That's an intriguing trait. Jalen Carter, intriguing trait was just that he was the best player.
That was just it.
It's that simple. With Christen, I think he has to have something. So we have to see him go out there and drag people like ragdolls if he's going to be that run game guy. The pass rush stuff you talked about, he has to show improve in that, or the athleticism, right? It has to be like, man, because I think that's what Trayvon Walker was. He kind of he checked enough boxes across the board that he was like, this might be kind of like a a freak athlete, right? You talk about like, what that's Dane Brugler's freak list. Like you kind of like
Bruce Feldman.
Bruce Feldman, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He kind of put himself in that category of like, this is kind of never seen this before. 6'5", 300, can move, those type of situations. So I think it has to be that DP. And another guy I don't think we mentioned out of Georgia too, Michael Williams, right? we forgot about him just this past year. So for Christen Miller, I think he has to have some type of intriguing physical trait that make people think the upside is through the roof. But DP, let's do this, man. We're talking about upside, and now we're going to Texas A&M. DP, I'm just realizing this show is for me, baby. All SEC. We're going to Texas A&M. Talk about Texas A&M running back Le'Veon Moss. What can he be this upcoming year? This running back class is wide open. Can he put himself towards the top of the running back class? We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with their can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, guys, that's a deal you just don't want to miss. You bet $5 as a new customer, and if your bet wins, you get $300 back in bonus bets. So think about being able to turn that into many, many more bets like player props, building your same game parlays, or even jumping into the live action as it is unfolding. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, let me ask you, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. And again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. Guys, that did keep the solid. I gave them all SEC prospects to talk about on today's show. So, it's not Christmas, but I'm in a giving mood as we head into week 1 of the college football season. Keith, Le'Veon Moss, man, 5'11", 210. Out of Texas A&M. He played up to like week 10 last year. Then he got hurt. I believe it was a leg injury. I think he pretty much missed the rest of the season, bowl game, all that type of stuff. But he accounted for 121 carries, 765 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns. He also catches the ball out of the backfield. Keith, I like this kid. I like his game. And the thing about it, the only thing I have a reservation about is they got a lot of talented backs in that backfield. Like, so it's like, okay, is he going to get the full workload? And I know that they said that, I already read some reports, they plan on bringing him along slowly because of the injury, things like that. But I saw a guy, I think he in high school, he was a 10-8 guy in the 100-meter dash. So he has the track background. But I remember I tweeted out some clips of him. I want him downhill. Just full steam ahead. His contact balance, he runs with good pad level for the most part. When he lowers the shoulder, that defender feels it. He runs through defenders. He bounces off guys like a pinball, like the old school pinball machine. And he just bounces and spins off of guys. You see the open field speed. But I think where he's going to really be so intriguing for an NFL team and offensive coordinator is he catches the ball very well out of the backfield. And I think that's where that upside for him being that 3-down player. I had a comp because watching him, and it could have been a number. It could have been a number 8. But it reminded me a little bit of Josh Jacobs at Bama. I think Josh might be a little bit, I think at the time, if I compare athleticism, I think Josh may have been more explosive. Yeah, at Bama, Josh, that first step, that jump, those jump cut, stuff like that. But I saw that Josh Jacobs in him with the vision, the patience, the physical, like they want to run through you, stiff arm you, like tone setters as running backs. And I love guys like that. I like my guys that want to kind of come out the game and just kind of put your face in the dirt and let you know, man, it's going to be a long 4 quarters for you. It's going to be a long 4 quarters.
I have a question. Where did you fall with him with a draft grade?
Or
what range are you in with him if you didn't give him a
like
final
mid,
grade?
I think it was like mid to late second, I believe. Mid to late second or early third, somewhere in there.
Okay. I came in because I actually wrote his report last year. Yeah, I actually wrote his report last year, and then watching him again, I kind of gave him more of a 3rd to 4th round guy. I think the ceiling, and I'm trying to find some of these backs, right? Because he has an interesting, I would say this, I don't know if his build fits his play style, because he looks to be kind of like a 6 foot, 6'1", kind of a, like right at 200 pounds, right? That type of thing. But he runs physical. Like you said, like he's actually a guy that you either want him to be a one cut downhill back or immediately in power. You want him to just get his pad level north and south, right? So that way he can be able to power through, run through arm tackles, things like that. And I think a ceiling type of thing could be for him, different builds, but maybe like a Zach Charbonnet, right? And I think we just brought Zach Charbonnet up a couple episodes ago, where he's kind of that power back in a kind of running back by committee type situation. But I do like what he provides, and I want to sit on that. So he's definitely a prospect we're gonna have to come back to, because I want to find a better comp for him. But with Le'Veon, I'll say this, that it was a difficult evaluation for me, because I think I went back and forth on upside versus what I'm seeing, versus what I'm seeing, right? And I kind of had that balance back and forth. But I'll say this, that I think that but at Texas A&M this year, and I think it's gonna be interesting, because his running mate, the guy in the backfield with him, Amari Daniels, is a different style player, but he also gets a lot of touches too. So I'm interested to see how Texas A&M kind of splits their backfield, and if Le'Veon can get some more of those reps too, to be able to kind of showcase his all-around ability.
And they got Ruben Owens, another 5-star. It was like a 4 or 5-star recruit. I think he initially was supposed to go to Louisville, and then he flipped his commit to Texas A&M. So he'd be draft eligible in 2027. So he's got a little bit of time. So they may, like I said, we'll see how quickly they bring him along in terms of Le'Veon Moss. But I saw that Josh Jacobs. I thought about Marshawn Lloyd a little bit when he was at USC. I feel like he's more physical than Marshawn was at USC. Marshawn was a little more of a agile, want to get outside all the time. Like, I really appreciate how Moss is patient, but also disciplined to the run design. Like, he's like, you know what? If you give me 3 yards, I'm going to take 3 yards. I'm going to fight for that extra half a yard and get, so it's 3.5, maybe 4 yards if I get a full yard, and now instead of second and 6.5, it's 2nd and 5 or whatever the case may be. Like, he fights for those type of things and runs well downhill, and his feet don't stop. I like that. I love that about him. Like, as a running back, if you hit the pile and your feet immediately stop, that's a problem for me. Like, I need to see your feet keep moving and keep churning, and he does a really good job of that. So definitely a guy that, again, once he gets going, we don't know exactly how soon early in this season. I don't expect week 1 or 2 for them to give him the workload that they want to give him, with him coming off of that leg injury and everything. I believe he might have had surgery. I can't remember. Don't quote me on it, guys. I think he might have had some type of surgery or whatnot, but they said they wanted to bring him along a little bit slower. And the fact that they have 2 or 3 other backs that they can lean on while he gets up to that, like, mental 100%. When he's mentally 100%, he's like, you know what? I can cut, I can plant, I can run through guys. I feel ready to go. And then they can go ahead and give him that workload and everything like that. But talented back. And that's why I thought the Marshawn Lloyd one, kind of that Marshawn Lloyd, Woody Marks in terms of the receiving ability. Like, I definitely think he could be a problem in the passing game. Like, this is a guy that you can run routes with out of the back, not like line up like Jahmyr Gibbs and CMC and all that, but like how we seen Woody Marks and some of these other backs across the league. Like, screens, dump offs, wheel routes, things like that. The Texas angle route, he runs well because of how patient he is as a salesman. This is definitely a guy we got to keep an eye on throughout the 2025 college football season.
Yeah, for sure. And DP, I think this is a common theme, I'll say for sure, across the SEC. And then probably across all of college football, I don't know if you feel like you got into enough reports yet, but the running back class to me is still wide open. Like, because there's so many situations similar to what we just talked about with Texas A&M. Y'all roster have 3, 4, 5 stars. It's just who's going to be the guy to emerge, right? It's the same thing with Texas, the same thing with Georgia, same thing with Bama, same thing with Michigan, same thing with Ohio State. Like, the running back class still has a lot to be said, for this upcoming draft. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parsons. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, for free to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, on tomorrow's show, we'll be getting ready for some of the big matchups in college football. We'll be breaking down Clemson versus LSU, the prospects that you need to watch, as well as we get closer to college football of week 1 of college football. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.